Alright, good evening, class. What I'd like to do now is just talk about um, our next three presidents. And the first one we're going to focus on this PowerPoint slide is Martin Van Buren. And ultimately, Van Buren was pretty much handpicked by Andrew Jackson. Jackson, Van Buren was his vice president, and he stood by Jackson. He was a believer in Andrew Jackson, and Jackson was still popular amongst the common people. So by pushing for Martin Van Buren, right, he's going to gain that same support that Andrew Jackson gained. And if you look at the political map, right, he's going to win the election of 1836, pretty handily. If you look at, he's the purple or the light blue on your map, and at this time he ran against three members from the Whig political party, and the Whigs weren't fully organized. They weren't at their max capacity yet. They weren't completely strong. And what they tried to do, they tried to send three candidates to run against Van Buren, hoping that this election would get taken to the House of Representatives. If there wasn't a majority, right? If Van Buren couldn't win a majority, this would get taken to the House, where the Whigs, had a lot of power, and hoping that one of their candidates would get elected, which didn't happen. Van Buren, as you could see, won the majority of the votes, and he's going to get elected president. But the thing that kind of stinks for Van Buren is that he's going to inherit the problems that Andrew Jackson ultimately left him with from the Panic of 1837. And it's going to be Van Buren's job to sort of get us out of this panic if he can, which is not the case. He's going to be, the panic is going to run for 5 to 6 years, and he's only got a 4-year presidency, so it didn't really work out that way for him. But he's not a bad president by any stretch of the imagination. He just inherited some bad circumstances. He came into office at the wrong time. And Van Buren will be, our 8th president. And if we look at the slide, now it says, I thought Jackson killed the Bank of the United States, which he did, but Van Buren ultimately, when he becomes president, he wants to do something about this recession. So, he creates another bank. Right? We know the bank was, taken away by Andrew Jackson. Van Buren's going to create what's known as the independent treasury. So he's going to pass the independent treasury bill, which ultimately goes through, and we have another Bank of the United States. And there's hope that it could sort of restore order throughout the nation. And Andrew Jackson's not going to like this. Right? He's going to sort of not be on great terms anymore with Van Buren, and Van Buren's going to lose his next election when he tries to run again. Ultimately, because he doesn't have that strong support from Andrew Jackson, and the country's still in a depression. So they want to change. Now the next in line to become president in the 1840 election will be William Henry Harrison. And I don't have a picture of Harrison here, but Harrison had a very short-lived presidency, and his campaign slogan, if you look at his poster to your right, is Tippecanoe and Tyler too. And William Henry Harrison was a war hero, or he was campaigned as a war hero. He fought at the Battle of Tippecanoe against the Native Americans. He won that battle. So the Whig Party was trying to, he is a Whig, so the Whig Party was trying to make him out to be this common man, this everyday guy, right, trying to make him popular amongst the common people. And they did this by, having what's known as a log cabin campaign and a cider campaign. And what I mean by that is log cabin, meaning that they told the public that this man, William Henry Harrison, was a man from the West. He was tough, he was rugged, he lived in a log cabin, he drank cider, meaning he drank alcohol. He was a drinker, drinking whiskey, and ultimately, none of this was true. They pretty much lied to the people to gain votes. Right? He wasn't a big drinker. He was from the South. He didn't live in a log cabin. And if you look to your left, that's a political cartoon poster of Martin Van Buren. And they're making Van Buren out to look like this rich snob who drinks wine or champagne. And ultimately, Van Buren was actually the one who grew up poor. So he was more of the common man than William Henry Harrison. And the Tyler 2 part of the poster comes in because John Tyler is Henry Harrison's vice president. And what's going to happen to Henry Harrison is he's going to die after 1 month in office from pneumonia. So he really didn't get a chance to do anything wrong or do anything good for the country. And John Tyler takes over as the 10th president. This is the first time we're going to have a vice president take over the presidency. Mid run through their office. And the Whigs finally have a man in office. John Tyler is another Whig. They finally had their guy, and his presidency is sometimes known as he's sometimes known as his accidency, because a lot of people thought that he just became president because of an accident. But what Tyler's going to say to the critics is he's going to say, all right, the vice president is still going to have the power of the normal president. I'm going to fulfill the duties of the presidency, and that's what he does. He takes his job very seriously, and the Whigs are happy with this. They think they have their man. But what Tyler does, one of the first things he does is he vetoes an internal improvement bill. And we've learned from the past that this was a Whig ideology. The Whigs were in favor of internal improvements. Right? He's going to remove the Bank of the United States. He's going to remove the independent treasury. Right? Ultimately, his entire cabinet is going to resign, and he's going to replace them all with Democrats. Now, why might John Tyler do this? That's the question. Why might he do this? Well, John Tyler was a former Democrat. All right. He was also a strict constructionist. That's the word that we've heard before. He was a strict constructionist. So he viewed the Constitution literally, word for word. So he felt the things that the Whigs wanted him to do didn't really coincide with his personal beliefs. And John Tyler is going to be known for his, push for the annexation of Texas and making it part of the United States. He was, a very big and influential factor in, annexing Texas, for the United States, making Texas part of the United States. So I'm going to stop it there. If you have any questions about this, these slides, you could just send me a message on Schoology or ask me in class. Okay.